Good morning, everyone. I am tasked to report educational leadership and multicultural educational approaches. It is important to remember that multicultural education is not homogeneous in general by Slater 1992 and Banks 2007. Hence, multiculturalism has to be taken into account while discussing the differences and different approaches that have been proposed. Societal unity or diversity have been focused on these approaches to varying degrees by Gutmann in 2004. Angelo and Stenberg in 1997 that there are four major approaches in the discussions of multiculturalism. These are monoculturalism or conservative multiculturalism, pluralist multiculturalism, liberal multiculturalism, and critical multiculturalism. In the first three approaches, manifestations of managing diversity are discussed, and in the last, transformative approach based on social justice is followed. In the following section, we have focused on Kinchelow and Sternberg's scheme in which multicultural differences are considered in allowing for the potential differentiations on the leadership models by McGlenn 2008. In conservative multiculturalism, emphasis is placed on a dominant culture, considering Western patriarchal culture to be superior of others. This approach was criticized by Nieto in 1996, who are asserted it to be ignorant of issues relevant to marginalization of certain groups and social injustices. She also argued that in this approach, monoculturalism is encouraged and it is founded on the base of white, middle class culture by Nieto in 1999. In this school, leaders and teachers quite often viewed different children as having lower abilities or inferior. Tide and Tide in 2002 were of the opinion that this approach wished to assimilate diversity into normative culture. Liberal multiculturalism. In this approach, emphasis are placed on similarities and on the notion that equality and common humanity are shared by diverse groups. However, this bias on similarities may lead to cultural invisibility and color blindness by Slater and McLaren in 1995 and Kinchelow and Stenberg in 1997. Existing inequalities are often attributed to lack of educational and social opportunities. It is thus claimed that positive ideas such as equality and liberty are to be particularly endorsed. Pluralist multiculturalism. Pluralist multiculturalism, however, focuses on difference and not on similarity. Although cultural heritage and diversity are celebrated, structural inequalities and power relations are not sufficiently challenged, just as the earlier two approaches by Nieto in 1996. Instead, a simplistic and naive celebration of diversity can be observed, which is often termed by some as boutique multiculturalism by Fish in 1997. As a consequence of this, equality issues are diminished to chances of good intentions. Critical multiculturalism. In this inequality are challenge and role of power relations in developing dominant practices and discourses are acknowledged. Instead of focusing on superficial differences, attention is paid on differences arising due to the social injustices. Ideological mission of schooling is recognized in this approach. and teachers are recognized as cultural gatekeepers, transmitting values of dominant culture by Kinchilo and Stenberg in 1997. However, researchers have also criticized multiculturalism by Dimak and Walker in 2005 as idealistic and for not paying attention to actual practices that may be needed to achieve social change. The highly political nature may also make this approach somewhat unacceptable to the school leaders and teachers. The role of teachers in establishing healthy cultural environment, irrespective of the culture of the current school or the colleagues, of principals' openness to leadership. Teachers must consider themselves to be leaders. We strongly believe that teachers can also step up and take on leadership role in some form. If the school currently has a strong teacher leadership culture, the teacher may start working within the existing framework. If such culture is not there, it has to be developed immediately. Roadblocks to common problems may be tackled with the following suggestions. First, a small step at a time to improve the school's culture. We can have either high profile or behind the scenes rules in teacher leadership. Teachers may have named rules that would help them facing questions from their peers. For example, they may say, I'm saying this in my capacity as a data coach. When the culture of the school is more open and trusting toward leadership, the classroom can be open to others. Regardless of the principal's buy in, an individual or small group can lead the initiative. A positive change can be initiated by bringing the colleagues together for a training or peer study. It may take time, but the trust will be developed slowly. Second, a reluctant principal has to be encouraged. A candid and frank conversations must be started with the principals, reassuring them on the shared responsibility of decision making and that their view will be counted. They should be approached with solutions and ask for input. The starting point should be a non threatening project having high probability of success, or in other words, with low hanging fruit. The fear of failure should not overwhelm stakeholders. Outcomes may not match expectations always, but one can learn many things from the journey. Teachers, therefore, should not be afraid of accepting leadership out of fear of failure. This will not help anyone in developing an environment conducive of leadership rules for teachers. On the other hand, if teachers can model themselves by stepping outside their comfort zone, their colleagues or even the principal can follow the lead. And lastly, a teacher should not wait to be empowered. Every teacher can become a teacher leader. They should concentrate on their passion and unique skills. Also, they should look for solutions when faced with a problem at their school. They should be ready to take small steps to start with. With such attitudes, the leaders will be able to impact their schools beyond their classroom. Every opportunity should be utilized towards such steps. It may start with a staff meeting or a new academic year. An open and honest conversation and communications can be initiated for discussing non-discussable issues. For example, the school's culture morale of the staff and existing communication avenues can be questioned. If the principals come out of their comfort zone, their teachers will follow their steps. So there you go. Thank you for listening.